House Resolution 1, Reconciliation Bill, Green New Deal. Do they have a chance to get through the Congress since the Democrats have the both houses majority? They may not. Why is that?
Chinese Communist Party is cracking down Hong Kong media and the journalists are going underground. Why CCP is using such heavy hands and why they don't care about the negative publicity. Kathy and Wei.
Welcome to Kathy and Wei show. And,
all right, we'll bring you the answers in today's program.
So we have two pieces of news. One is about our Congress, another is about Hong Kong, and the third one would be the joke. Okay, hopefully you all like it. And so let's just jump into the first piece of news. As you know, that House Resolution 1 that was started earlier this year aimed to take the voting right or the management of the voting right from the states largely to the federal government. And then that's why it's called House Resolution 1. That's on the top of the mind of Congressman and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. All right. And also, along with the current infrastructure bill, Nancy Pelosi recently said she has to attach the reconciliation bill, which has a lot of agenda that Democrats want, the funding, and with the infrastructure bill. Otherwise, she won't vote for that. And then, okay, so, well, that of course will upset a lot of Republicans. With that kind of objection, can Nancy Pelosi overcome that? The third one, of course, is all of us care a lot, right? About 2 to 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, this Green New Deal was brought forth, and which is quite a radical bill, which aimed to retrofit all the buildings in this country essentially as part of it. And then, could they have a chance to pass the House pass the Congress because the Democrats party have both houses now. And that's, of course, on the top of mind of many people after the 2020 election, right? In which President Joe Biden won the presidency, and then the Democrat Party have the majority of both houses, the Senate and the House. That's what I mean. All right. So the most recent news is the New York Congresswoman, Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And she recently said that she believes it's essential to eliminate the filibuster, which requires 60 votes to pass most legislatures, including what we're talking about, House Resolution 1, Green New Deal, and a resolution bill. So what are we facing here? As I think most of you understand that, right? Because now with both houses in the majority is with the Democratic Party. The only way to block a Democratic bill would be the filibuster in the Senate. So let's just back up a little bit, right?
All right.
Talking about this filibuster. Filibuster actually is basically the right for a senator to keep talking on any issue he or she wants on the floor of the Senate. So since there's no rule to no way to stop him or her from talking on that issue, and by keep talking there, she could bring the bill to its demise. So filibuster is also called talking a bill to death.
All right.
Or talk out a bill.
Right.
As a matter of fact, filibuster is not a part of the Constitution. All right. It was the rule about filibuster was erected in 1806, and it was only put in use in 1837. Actually, in the first 200 years of our Senate, the filibuster was not quite used even, not until 1970. And then, so at that time, a opposition can use the filibuster to stop a bill from moving forward. And the only way to get rid of that blockage is to have 60 votes. Okay, 60 votes to stop the filibuster, which means instead of a simple majority to pass a bill in the Senate needs 60 or three-fifths of the majority to defeat a filibuster. All right, so a simple majority vote pass becomes 60 votes to vote pass. as we know that. So currently, there's certain bills like a Green New Deal, and the House Resolution 1, they become very, very controversial, and that deeply worry a lot of people, especially those Republicans, right? So, however, we know that the Democrats only have 50 votes in the Senate. They have no way. They can have 51 with the Harris, the Harris as the 51st vote, but they would never be able to garner 60 votes. So the only way to get that, or not get that, there's no way for them to get that. The only way to pass any bill they want is to do away with the filibuster. Okay, it's interesting enough. Okay, although the filibuster can require 60 votes to get stopped, but doing away the filibuster itself only requires simple majority. So that's called the nuclear option. And then first in the 2013, a Democrat-controlled Senate actually voted 52 to 48 to use the nuclear activate the nuclear option, which require only a majority vote to end the filibuster on all executive and judicial nominees, excluding Supreme Court nominees. So if the president nominate a judge, not a new Supreme Court judge, okay, a judge at the federal level, and also just a minister, okay. Now, because of that Democratic partisan movement, a simple majority vote is required, is enough. And then in the 2017 Republican-controlled Senate voted another 52 to 48. Now it's from the other side. And they require only a majority vote to end the filibuster of the Supreme Court nominees. That's how we have Kavanaugh, right? And those three Supreme Court judges.
Gorsuch and
Gorsuch
Barrett.
and Barrett. How they got onto the Supreme Court. However, okay, most legislature basically still could face a filibuster, and it took 3/3. It took 60% or 60 votes to end the filibuster. Okay, and that's apparently become very, very difficult, unless Democrats use a simple majority to do away with this filibuster itself. Okay, so what recently happened is last week, and the House Resolution 1 was basically failed to pass in the Senate because they couldn't have 60 votes to defeat the filibuster. So that one pretty much is gone. And then now Pelosi is trying to associate a reconciliation bill with the infrastructure bill, and AOC, now she's pushing to eliminate the filibuster, basically a simple majority to do away with that step, so that she can push through every bill she wants. And her rationale is this, okay? Her rationale is, this is her word. She said, frankly, this is the thing. For Democratic legislation, once enacted, is popular, okay? She said all over the world, just take, simple majority to make decision all across the country and all across the world. A simple majority is enough to pass legislatures, and the functions of the U.S. Senate should be no different. That's her argument. Kathy, what do you think? Simple majority is good enough?
Well, we all know that actually United States, when it's founded, it's not a simple majority system. Right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the founding fathers war against this called majority tyranny. Okay, majority tyranny. So indeed, in most cases, it is simple majority. But as you know, for the president to veto any legislature, for the Congress to veto president's veto, it would take 2/3. That's not a simple majority. And also, 2/3 of the House of the Congress has to be there to propose an amendment of the Constitution, and 2/3 of the state legislature can ask the Congress to call a national convention to propose amendment. Again, that's not a simple majority. So basically, in the eyes of the founding fathers, the Senate, different from the House, is a place, is a body that is made up of discrete politicians who would think for the long term for the country. That's why they got 6 years, even longer than the president. Okay, so among all the discretion, there's this not casually doing away with the filibuster, even though at the founding fathers' time there was not a filibuster, right? It didn't happen until 1806. However, that very spirit was inherited, and it seems this spirit was inherited by the Democratic senator Kirsten Sinema from Arizona. So she's opposed to ending the filibuster for the convenience of passing Democratic Party's bill right now, and she even went as far as writing a co-op to the Washington Post, all right, on that. And during the in that co-ad, she said we don't want to do this. She said doing away with the filibuster will do the country more harm than not doing that. And she also said we don't want to do something only a few years. Got that legislature repealed. So basically, if the Democratic Party used a simple majority to push through that legislature, after a few years, like just after next year, if the Republican GOP got the majority, they can use the simple majority to revert that. So they become like a ping pong kind of legislature. So in her eyes, that's not a respectful use of the function of the Senate. So not just Sinema, but also the senator mentioned from the West Virginia. So basically, 2 Democratic senators do not agree doing away with the filibuster. That pretty much ended the deal. So because of that, the House Resolution 1 will fail, and then will have already failed and have no chance to. Doesn't seem to have a chance to get it revived now, and also the Green New Deal have no hope to push through because of that. So basically, Kathy, in my eyes, I think this is indeed still the heritage or the tradition or the value or the custom of the Senate, U.S. Senate, is still live there. Okay, because of that, we're not seeing that. The HR1 is quite a radical bill in my view, okay, because it is pretty much take the power of the voting, managing voting from the states to the federal. That's quite a deal.
Yeah, federalizing the voting process, voting administration. That's really basically it changes the constitution, right?
Yeah. So talking about AOC's argument, saying that the Democratic legislation once enacted is popular. Okay, it's popular. I do want to mention a few recent polls. Actually, the polls they are done by the polls who were not that honest before. But anyway, just for the sake of getting those information, and let's look into that. All right. So as we know, first let's look at the border. The border. Okay, the issue of the border. And the 2 parties have different opinion here. So University of Texas and the Texas Tribune have a poll. And just recently, and it found that 57% of Texan voters disapprove President Biden's policy on the border, while 27% approved. Okay, among GOPs, 89% of Texas voters disapprove Biden's border policy, while only 5% approved. And then for the Hispanic, this is very interesting. 47% of Hispanic Texan voters disapprove Biden's border policy, while 34% approved. All right, so that's one thing. And then for the Democrat, 18%. This is then the other way around. Only 18% disapprove, while 56% approved President Biden's border policy. So you got that picture. Then another one in the same time on a very same issue, the Harvard-Harris poll also got to have their finding. 55% of the Americans said Biden should have continued Trump's southern border policies, while 45% disagreed. All right, and then 68% of the Americans said Biden's White House is encouraging illegal immigration, and only 32% said the administration is not. That's another finding of the poll. And then the Harvard CAPS and Harris poll released last week found another thing. This is regarding our kids, all right? So that survey found that 61% of the registered voters said that children should not be taught America is structurally racist. Are you surprised, Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
And in response, 39% said that children should be taught that America is structurally racist. So 61% versus 39%.
Yes. I just, have a comment. 39%. To me, it's still a bit high.
Yeah, it's still quite high, right? It's
Right.
quite scary, considering that such concept is it's not very American. And then talking about the First Amendment, okay, 81% of the registered voter are for it, and versus 19%. So that's pretty clear. And then a YourGov poll and sponsored by economics. Yeah, this is the mid-June, about 10 days ago. It found that 58%. Hear me out here. 58% of Americans have a unfavorable view of the critical race theory.
How many?
58%.
58%.
While, hear me out, 38% view this critical race theory, which is a Marxist philosophy, view that favorably. So I think Kathy would say that's too high.
Well, yeah, and
Nearly 40%.
Yeah,
Think about that.
It's a little bit scary, I think. And the Twinkly 1974 says, I've been all fighting against the CRT lately. Just curious, what you have been doing on that end. So, and Jeff said.
So what we have been doing on that end, the CRT?
CRT, we're being,
Yeah, we've
reporting
been
constantly.
talking about this one, it's not okay. So basically, Kathy and Wei have our main audience is the Chinese American. Okay, to them it's not hard. You mentioned that, they got it right away, just like that. Okay, rather it's with the English speaking, our viewers or listeners. It takes some explanation, but not with you guys, of course. I think you see that issue pretty clearly.
Yeah, and Jeff said, when Kathy, does America feels like it's being controlled by CCP? Everything is censored now, and the propaganda is everywhere. I totally understand what you mean, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking about censorship, shall we go to the next piece of news?
Yes, but before we do that, let me just summarize a little bit. I read you two recent polls, right? All pretty much by the leftist mainstream, pollster. And then their findings that those Democratic legislatures are not popular. Mm-hmm. What AOC said, no, we are popular. Just do away with the filibuster. All the policy we have, we'll got that majority. We'll push them through. That's not the case. Majority of Americans do not seem to agree with her, and so in that sense, pushing through the filibuster will be very worrisome. But I think at this very point, I cannot assure the future, but at this very point, it seems we are a few steps away of the cliff, right?
Right.
By of doing away the filibuster and brutal forcefully push through any liberal or progressive bill with a simple majority. So I would say, thanks to Senator Sinema and the mention, and they still carry the good tradition of our Senate. All right, let's move on to the Hong Kong. What happened in Hong Kong is indeed, the day after will be July 1st, right? July 1st. July 1st is a special day, right?
Special day
it's two
for...
meanings. 24 years ago. Okay, 24 years ago. That was the date that Hong Kong was transferred from UK, from the Great Britain to China. Mm-hmm. And the second, about 100 years ago, that was the date of so-called the first Chinese Communist Party conference was held. So it's their birth date. Right.
It's regarded as July 1st is regarded as the Chinese Communist Party's birthday. So this year it's their centennial anniversary. And right now, a lot of things going on in China, and including Hong Kong. So the situation in Hong Kong just become more dire than ever. So the media in Hong Kong has been continuously suppressed, unfortunately. So the popular pro-democracy newspaper Apple Daily was forced to cease publishing a few days ago on June 24th. I think
Yeah.
the 23rd was the last version of its publish, and they published 1 million copies. Usually, in Hong Kong there are 7 million little
Residents.
Yeah, over 7 million residents.
Pretty much like a 2 million household, something like that.
And they usually, Apple Daily usually publish like, more around 80,000 to 100,000 copies, but they published 1 million copies on the last last version. It was grabbed right away.
That's the last day, statement.
Right. And also, two of its editorial writers have been arrested, including the most recent one. He was arrested while he was at Hong Kong International Airport trying to leave Hong Kong. So right now for Hong Kong, in other media like the internet media, current affair commentators, political cartoonists, they all starting to remove the articles and the videos from the media platform, and also canceling the social media channels. And at the same time, the former Hong Kong Secretary of Security was promoted as the Chief Secretary for Administration, which is the second in command of Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. And this person was very active in suppressing the anti-Hong Kong national security law movement. And recently, he ordered to freeze the fund of Apple Daily, which really did it was like the last straw on the camel to cause Apple Daily's closure. And so this person right now, he's acting actually as the chief of Hong Kong, because the real chief went to China, Beijing, to celebrate, quote unquote, celebrate the centennial anniversary of the CCP. So Apple Daily was regarded as one of the last few landmark of media freedom in Hong Kong. And now it was strangled by CCP.
Yeah, and what happened before the arrest yesterday? There was three major brutal action. First is the owner, Mr. Li Zhiying. What's his English name?
Jimmy Lai.
Jimmy Lai was arrested and handcuffed, and in the broad daylight, and sent a very, very clear signal to everybody. And then that's first step. The second, all the funding of the Apple Daily was frozen. The third, more than 250 Hong Kong police, just raid the headquarters of the Apple Daily, where they only have 30 staffs, 30 staff working. Yeah, and then now they have been arrested, all the 7 top executives of the Apple Daily, including the Mr. Feng Weiguang, who is the executive editor-in-chief of their English version, at the airport when he was ready to fly out. They arrested him. So all these tactics meant to send a message. Oh, by the way, why? Well, why do they arrest them? They gotta have a charge, right? The charge is conspired with the foreign institution or the foreign forces to threaten the national security. All right. So that's the charge. And then what's the evidence for the charge? The evidence of the charge for this Mr. Feng Weiguang, the executive chief editor, is he's publicly published a report, commentary, about 100 of them. Okay, so basically, this guy just published things on the newspaper to conspire with the foreign forces. That's a little hard, conspire in the public way, in that way. So basically, all this are just nonsense. Okay, it's just a false charge, and the only purpose of those 3 rounds of heavy hands action, including the arrest today, and is meant to scare everybody into not speaking out.
Right, and they purposefully did it right before the July 1st, the centennial anniversary of the CCP, just to show their determination of eradicate the Hong Kong's freedom. So, what's the reaction from the international world, including United States, and what should be done? So actually, today I interviewed a senior media person. He escaped to United States during the 1989 student movement because he was the chief editor of a newspaper in southern China. And during the student movement, he actually didn't follow the CCP's instruction, just decided to publish pro-democracy movements articles. So he had to escape. And his name is Mr. Chen Kai. And he actually proposed, as a media person from China who experienced in the student movement in 1989, he felt really, really sad, heartbroken actually, when he told me he was heartbroken to see what's happening in Hong Kong, what's happening to Apple Daily. And he said he would strongly appeal to the United States government to help, first of all, to rescue the employees. It's over 1,000 employees of Apple Daily, and I rescue them to the United States. And second, to help Apple Daily to publish in United States, to continue its work in the United States. So it sounds like, it's like just the idea, but he just so passionate about it, because he said, it's not only saying we condemn the CCP's action, but we should really put into real action. And because after 1989, the student movement, both people from the Hong Kong, especially those wealthy people, the celebrities, including politicians, business people, they all came together, and along with the help of the United States government and the UK government, they formed a Operation Yellowbird, or called Operation Siskin, to rescue the dissidents of the student movement. So they actually, so in the United States, the CIA was involved, Britain's Security Intelligence Service was involved, and they totally rescued more than 400 dissidents, who were smuggled through Hong Kong, and then went on to, they were able to come to the Western countries. So Mr. Chang, he said, we really have to help those people to really take the action. And also he felt so important. It's so important to protect the Apple Daily, because it really, it's a mark of media and the speech freedom in Hong Kong. So he said, can we just help establish the first exile newspaper over the world? And so another thing he proposed is that since the Chinese Communist government already decided to destroy Hong Kong, right? So the Hong Kong is destroyed. So, and he said, in this process, now Hong Kong's bank have become a compliance to the action, right?
Okay.
Because how they frozen Apple Daily's fund. So so he said that the United States does not need to protect Hong Kong's status of international financial center anymore, right? Because it only can be used by the Chinese Communist government to continue its deed and its cheating all over the world. So he suggests that the United States should punish Hong Kong banks, and he proposed to kick the the Hong Kong dollar out of the US dollar settlement system. So, yeah, how do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, I just want to add my comment here, and so it is actually quite surprising that for such a heavy handling by the CCP, even after they published this so-called security law for Hong Kong, which pretty much just cancel out the Sino-British Hong Kong basic law. Everybody would think, by looking at the past history of the CCP, they would spend a few years to ease in, to become tighten up, just tighten up the, strangle you gradually.
Have a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, CCP now, they don't need a process.
Yeah, because back then they are always worried about the negative publicity. But this time it's very, very rare, okay? They move so fast. Really just within 1 month, they just essentially closed down the Apple Daily and force all the journalists in Hong Kong pretty much into underground.
Yeah, censor themselves.
Right. As
basically.
of now, only one person, as I know, as I checked, his name is Zhong Jianguang. Only one person was still outspoken. All the other people now went into hiding or start to mute themselves or carry out self-censoring. So is that a victory of the CCP, of the Chinese Communist Party? I think exactly to the opposite. Let me explain. Okay, for the communist force, but be it with the Soviet Union or China or Vietnam or actually in this country in the United States, communists only they have to strive on two things. One is their power. Okay, another is their the lie. They have to use the lie to dress themselves up so that they can last. Otherwise, brutal power is too easy to run into, opposition or resistance, or the backlash. So they always have to have lie. On the very issue of Hong Kong, they completely did away with their lies. They really just throw away of any, camouflage or any pretense of any basic, even pretended decency. Now the world seeing that the CCP move in, close down newspaper, arrest the journalist, the media executive, and force all the journalists into underground. The world will remember this. Okay. Now the world will have no chance to trust this evil empire. What they're left with is the power. With it, only the power, CCP will not survive long. So I would say just keep your eyes open, and hold your breath. Let's see how soon this will lead to the CCP's demise.
Yeah, and also just like Mr. Chang, I interviewed the senior media person from originally from China. He just he's very straightforward, saying that the United States government should really be upfront and really just not just say condemn, or it's just like the Biden administration put out a statement. On one hand, he feels that it's good that President Biden put out a statement on this issue, but on the other hand, Mr. Chen feel that just say it's a sad day is not enough. Really have to put into action. And he felt that this, what Chinese Communist Party is doing in Hong Kong already shows the true nature, the true face of CCP. And if United States continue to say it's just a competition, it's a competition between United States and China, it's not. He felt it's just not the right way to do it. And he would agree with President Trump's position of really, in his mind, in his view, Trump was trying to really get rid of the CCP, which he thinks is the correct direction to go. Because as we already see what's Chinese Communist Party doing, right? They are not, they already are able to make those Western world, even like the UK, right? They just basically tear off the treaty and
basic law.
yeah, then no consequence basically.
Yeah. So, but in the mind of everybody in this world, they now know Chinese Communist Party is just utterly untrustable. That's, they earned that. The CCP earned that, and there will be consequence. And yeah, we'll see how they get back to them. So okay, I think that'll be it, right? So okay. So before we end, how about this? I have this joke that I tried to say the last time, but I missed it. So in China we got this princeling, right? The second generation of the leader of the Communist Party.
The elites.
They're very privileged.
CCP.
They go everywhere. They just say my father is who, and then everybody open door for them. All right, and then then this princeling is coming to the U.S. and was driving in the Los Angeles. And he was just driving and disregard the red light and just run across red light and just speed up and things like that. Then he got caught by the policeman. Okay, so policeman just stop him and ask, show me your driver's license. So the policeman, he's not used to this, right? Because in China, everywhere he go, people respect him. So he just used the same tone that he used to use in China. He said, do you know who my father is? The police said, just give me your driver's license. I really don't know who your father is. If you don't know who your father is, go home and ask your mother. Okay, hope that gave you a little light-spirited ending tone. And so thank you very much for staying with us. And watch our show.
All right. Yeah, take care. And so we'll see you Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. See you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.